What?
I'm gonna.
Yes. Oh,
That's the last class.
Okay.
Okay.
Listen up. Go ahead. You can go ahead and start. We are on page. EGF. My turn. We're on page 973, section 33.3. We're talking about the senses, how all the senses work.
Bro, I thought we skipped a couple of sections.
No, we didn't. We just skipped drugs, I hope.
We're not going to do drugs.
Alright. We're not doing drugs first. Ever.
No, we're not doing drugs.
Ever. Never do drugs. Speaking of drugs.
What?
Hey, you're hot on the camera.
Yeah, T-Pain over here, Terry Tyler over here.
T-Pain in the middle.
Okay. The senses.
Social.
Oh, man.
I got the left
Oh, thank you. Okay, let's see how all the different senses work. The first one we're going to cover is smell and taste. And basically, they're called chemo reception, meaning the reception of chemicals. Smell molecules and taste molecules are chemicals. Here's a guy smelling and tasting a strawberry. And what happens is molecules will come off the strawberry and float into the nose. And when you take a breath, some of those molecules go right up to the top of the nasal cavity where you have special nerve fibers. And each nerve fiber has a little receptor on it. It's a protein with a certain shape. And if the food molecule sticks to that receptor, they match like a lock and key. And the receptor knows that a piece of strawberry has stuck to it, and it will send a message to the brain that says, I smell strawberry. You see? And there are thousands of different kinds of receptors, so there are thousands of different kinds of smells. And so those go through what we call the olfactory nerve to the brain, part of the brainstem here, that senses it. The medulla oblongata is down here. Your tongue has a lot of what we call taste buds on it that also have nerve fibers with receptors. And so when you eat something, if you're eating something sweet like this, the sugar will connect to the receptor and a sweet taste will be sent to your brain. The brain has to get the signal from the nerves before you actually sense it. But that's basically how smell and taste work. Yes?
What are the sensory neurons? What do they do?
Here? They're nerve fibers that go from the tongue, in this case, to the brain. Basically, it doesn't show it, but it goes on up here and into the brain where you can sense taste. Basically, the way taste works is things that taste bad usually aren't good for you to eat. So you will avoid eating them. The brain perceives a bad taste. For instance, most poisons taste really bitter, and bitter is just not a good taste.
When you burn your tongue, is it considered tasting or feeling?
That'd be feeling. Yeah. Pain sensors. Now let's take a look and see how the eye works. The eye is a little more complicated. The eye has different parts. The cornea is the clear part in the front of the eye. And light passes through the cornea and then goes through this little hole right here. This hole is made, it's called the pupil, and it's made by the iris. The iris is a round muscle, and the iris can constrict like that when the light is bright and will dilate like that when the light is dim. And we can demonstrate that. It's very easy. We can do it in here. Look into the eyes of someone sitting near you, and I'll turn the light on, and watch the constriction or the dilation, the constriction of the pupil. Look closely, you got to get close.
No, I'm not doing that.
Mr. Mullis, come over here.
Will you give us like a 3, 2, 1?
Yeah, I'm going to give you a 3, 2, 1. Vanessa, have you seen this before? Oh, okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Yours was really fast.
There you go.
Isn't that cool? The pupils move.
What does that mean?
And so, the pupil, yes?
Isn't that what like cats, like the cats get wide eyes and small eyes?
That's correct. Same thing.
Okay, we know a girl, or you probably know her too, but one of her pupils is always bigger than the other one.
I do not know why.
It's like really tiny and the other one's really big.
I do
No,
not
it's only sometimes.
That's true.
Retarded eyeball.
Okay, up here. Up here. The light is then focused up here, Ellen Grace. The light is then focused by the lens. This is the lens. And it takes that light and focuses it on the back of the eye. And the back of the eye is called the retina. And the retina has about 30 million nerve cells. And those nerve cells come in two types.
Rods and cones.
Rods and cones. The rods are detect light, black and white. Different levels of light. The cones detect color. There's actually 3 types of cones. There's red, blue, and green. And it's the combination of signals from red, green, and blue that can make all the other colors. So, if you get all 3 colors, red, green, and blue, sent at once, that makes white. And if you don't have any colors being sent, that makes black. So, you can tell the sensation of color is carried out on the retina in the back. And there's the optic nerve where the signals, the light signals, the electrical signals get sent down the optic nerve back to the brain. Video footage.
A cross-section through the human eye shows where light goes as it enters the eye. Light enters the cornea, passes through the aqueous humor, and through the pupil. The colored iris muscle regulates the amount of light entering the eye. Light then passes through the lens and the jelly-like vitreous humor. The lens focuses the light on the back of the eye where it strikes the retina.
Oh, I didn't talk about those humors. Those are liquid. The humors are liquids that fill the inner cavity, the inner space of the eye. Yes.
My mom had Fluke's corneal dystrophy, and she had to have both her corneas live transplanted.
Oh my goodness.
Like
Can she see?
3 years ago. Yeah.
Huh? I heard when your mom like first conceived and
Yeah. My mom had to have both of her corneas.
Here's a cartoon lady. See what she does.
To form images of our environment, light emitted by or reflected from objects must be focused on the retina. Some of the light reflected from the surface of a yield sign is directed toward the eye. Upon reaching the eye, the light is first refracted by the cornea to send it on a path toward the retina. To reach the retina, the light rays must pass through the lens, where a small amount of refraction adjusts the angle of the light to form a focused image on the retina. Central to the sense of vision is the transduction of light energy into electrical energy by cells in the retina called rods and cones. Cylindrical shaped cells called rods are responsible for the perception of light and dark. Conically shaped cells called cones are sensitive to red, green, or blue light.
The thing about the cones is they use a lot of energy. So color isn't really that important to your survival. Organisms won't have cones. And there are a lot of animals that don't have hardly any cones. They might have a little, but they can't see much color. For instance, deer. You can wear an orange vest when you're hunting a deer because they can't see orange. So it just appears kind of gray to them. So you might as well wear an orange vest so you don't get shot by another hunter. But there are animals in which color is really important, especially animals that eat fruit, because fruits advertise that they're ready to be eaten by color. And so animals that eat fruit often have good color vision, like humans and birds.
You said it's not necessary. Does that mean in a panic situation we shut it down?
No. You can't shut it down. Once you have them, you use them. But it just takes a lot of energy to run them. They actually take a little bit more energy than do the rods and cones. Actually, several times more. So it's kind of expensive to own them. But you better use them if you have them. And for something like a deer, doesn't really need color vision because it's not eating fruits and that kind of thing.
Are we still talking about rods and cones?
Yeah. But which one's
Maybe a
expensive?
price range.
Cones.
Yeah.
So we don't use cones?
No, we have cones, lots of cones. That's why you can see color. I'm just saying some organisms don't have them.
Oh, that's the
Who doesn't
expensive
have color?
part.
Who can't see color?
Deer cannot see color.
I meant
Dogs.
Dogs can't see color.
No.
I can't.
People. All people can see color because they have cones.
I meant people who are
No.
colorblind.
It's not 100%.
Oh, there are some people who are colorblind now, but that means that they just can't see red and green as well.
No.
But they can see other colors.
Oh.
That's something to do with.
My mom that was fully
slight
colorblind.
mutation.
As mentioned before, our sense of sight provides us with the greatest amount of information. Our
We're not going to watch this.
light properly on the retina of the eye.
That one's lame. Going forward, the eyes of an insect obviously work differently. These are the compound eyes, and each little dot there is a single lens, and it allows these things to see all the way around them. So it's kind of a different sense of vision than we have. Interestingly, insects' vision is works very well in the ultraviolet, and so they can see light that we can't. This is how a yellow flower looks to us. This is how a yellow flower looks to an insect. It's different, and they can see that black circle there. Those are called nectar guides. These lines are called nectar guides that lead. The nectar is where it's dark, so we can't even see that. That doesn't even appear to our eyes. But an insect's eye will go for the dark area. That's where the food is. Kind of cool. Okay, hearing. Here's how hearing works. Sound is vibrations of the air. Right now my vocal cords are vibrating the air. And if I hit the desk vibrates. It vibrates the air. And those vibrations carry on through the air at the speed of sound, which is about 700 miles an hour. And then it goes into your ear. It goes down the ear canal and hits a little piece of tissue called the tympanum. It's also known as the eardrum. And the eardrum vibrates back and forth just the same way that the desk was vibrating. And the eardrum vibrates and vibrates these three bones, the malleus, the incus, and the stapes. And by the way, a little trivia for you here. The stapes is the smallest bone in the body. It's a tiny inner middle ear bone. We call this the outer ear is from the eardrum out. The middle ear is where these three bones are. Some of y'all might have had a middle ear infection before. Those are pretty common. And then the inner ear is the snail-shaped thing. And we call this snail-shaped thing the cochlea. And what happens is the cochlea has little hairs inside it. Thousands of little hairs all around it. And what happens is the vibrations, when this vibrates and these bones vibrate, it sends the vibration down this snail-shaped structure. High-pitched sounds like high-pitched sounds, they only go a short distance. Low-pitched sounds like the bass in my car, low-pitched sounds go long distance. So if it's a high-pitched sound, it only goes a short distance, it vibrates the little hairs, and that sends, the little hairs are connected to nerve fibers that send a message to the brain telling the brain that they're vibrating, and that means you're hearing a high-pitched sound. So the brain creates a mental audio signal of a high-pitched sound. So you know you're hearing something high. So when you're listening to music, you're hearing these hairs all through the cochlea are vibrating, sending signals to your brain, and you hear this multitude of sound. Yes?
Sometimes, like when I'm working and stuff, my ears will start ringing.
Yes.
Where does that come from?
Ringing.
It's not a hair in your ear.
Ringing is when the hairs are vibrating and the signal's being sent, and they often will not stop vibrating for a while, especially if you're exposed to something loud. Is it when you hear something loud, your ears ring? Yeah, those are the hair cells vibrating, and if they vibrate too much, it can die. They run out of ATP and their cells break down. And so you become what's called tone deaf. The older you get, the less able you are to hear very well. And a lot of old people can't hear at all because so many of the hair cells have died.
What happened if you broke your tympanum?
That's bad. Then it'll change your hearing.
Can you hear?
It depends how badly it's damaged.
I've busted mine twice.
It can be so bad that you go deaf.
Oh, so that's really important.
Yeah, very important. It can heal itself too if it's not.
Sound waves strike the tympanic membrane and cause it to vibrate.
Watch.
Vibration of the tympanic membrane causes the three bones of the middle ear to vibrate. The footplate of the stapes vibrates in the oval window. Vibration of the footplate causes displacement of the basilar membrane. Short wavelengths from high-pitched sounds cause displacement of the basilar membrane near the oval window. This movement is detected by hair cells of the spiral organ. Long wavelengths from low-pitched sounds cause displacement of the basilar membrane far from the oval window. Again, this movement is detected by hair cells of the spiral organ.
They aren't showing the hair cells here, but they're located where that green line is. So let me back this up a little. So when here the person's listening to a high-pitched sound, you can see that membrane there touching the green, and that's where the hair cells are. And those hair cells will shoot a nerve message through these yellow fibers off to the brain.
What green?
This little green line there, you see that?
Looks pink.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it doesn't look very good.
So it just depends on where the hair cells are sending their signals. Now here's a couple pretty cool pictures. These are the hair cells in a young lab rat that's been living its life in a quiet cage. These are the hair cells that I was talking about. Each of those little things are hairs. And they're shaped in this V pattern. And those are the things that vibrate. Here are the hair cells in a lab rat that's been in a cage where they played loud music for its life.
Aww.
You can see all the hair cells are damaged. That's what's left of them. So there's normal rat, loud music rat. Normal rat, loud music rat. So this rat doesn't hear well.
Is that why when you put your music loud, sometimes your parents say, don't put it too loud or you might go back to dad?
That's exactly right.
Hearing is another important sense that can supply us with a great deal of information. Sounds travel through the air in waves, or as vibrations. The outer ear directs the sound waves into the ear canal, where the sound strikes the eardrum. The eardrum is a thin skin that vibrates with the movement of the sound waves. Behind the eardrum are three small bones called the hammer, anvil, and the stirrup.
That's malleus, incus, and stapes.
These three bones pick up the vibrations from the eardrum and carry them to the inner ear. In the inner ear, there is a coiled tube called the cochlea. It is filled with fluid. Vibrations from the stirrup cause the fluid to move. Hairs inside the cochlea respond to this movement. These tiny hairs are attached to sensory cells that send a signal to the brain. The brain can then determine what the sound is that we're hearing. Many people begin to lose their hearing as they grow older because the hairs in the cochlea begin to die. Our sense of hearing is capable of picking up sounds that range from 20 to 20,000 vibrations per second. That may seem incredible, but compared to some other animals, we have limited hearing ability. For instance, a dog can hear from 15 to 50,000 vibrations per second. This means that a dog can hear sounds way above our range. We call these sounds ultrasonic, which means they are beyond our hearing range. That's why a dog will often act funny if it hears something that we don't hear. Well, it can hear sounds that we can't hear, so its unusual behavior is in response to something that we're not aware of. Bats and dolphins send out ultrasonic sounds that bounce off of things and come back to their ears. They can then tell what is around them, even in complete darkness. The bat can hear sounds from 1,100 to 120,000 vibrations per second. Dolphins can hear sounds from 150 to 150,000 vibrations per second.
That's what a dog whistle is. It's just a whistle that is above the human range of hearing.
Isn't it sometimes when you go like to a place where they like train dolphins, they use those weird whistles?
Yeah, same thing.
Sort of like echolocation.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. And a dolphin can send out a signal and have it bounce off something and come back to its ears. And even in real cloudy water that's real muddy, they can make out a picture that's almost as detailed as vision. They can tell, like, if I was a dolphin with my eyes covered, I could go, grr, grr, you know, the sounds that they make, and I would know the location of all of y'all.
Did you see the...
Just like I was looking at you.
Earlier this year, I mean, it might be last year, but they actually trained a bunch of people to do that.
What? I've heard that people, especially blind people, can pick up on that and learn how to do it.
So how do you pick up on it?
You just talk and then it'll bounce off.
You talk and then you listen for the return, for the echo, and you can tell that some things are closer than others.
There's no echo.
Yeah.
Then you just do it again.
There's an echo when there's always an echo unless there's nothing around you. There's always an echo.
Always.
Like even if you're like in the middle of the ocean?
No, unless there's nothing around you. That's what I said. There's always an echo unless there's nothing around you.
Like in a cave.
Now, we already talked about in the skin, there are nerve fibers in the skin that sense four things. Light touch, cold, heavy pressure, heat. And then free nerve endings that sense pain. So that's, and those things will send messages to the brain telling you that you've touched something hot. So don't do it. Now, one thing I want to add, read this section tonight, or over the weekend. We are not doing 33.4. 33.4 is on drugs, and we don't do drugs in here. Actually, y'all have already learned about that in health class, and I don't want to go over it again. So we will not mess with that.
Thank you.
Now we have a test coming up?
There's a test. No, we have one more chapter to go though.
Wait, so we're in sections 32.
33.3, but not 33.4.
Alright.